stuff, but if you watch the movie and listen to his line delivery, you'll really notice that trend.
He was great too. Garrett Graham, well, I guess his age is why, it's like he's not so big in my memory other than like a handful of movies, mostly horror. Like he was in Terror Vision, which is a really weird horror comedy.
Child's Play 2, right?
Right, Child's Play 2. He was the adoptive parent that took in Andy. But that was a rather minor role compared to Terror Vision. But yeah, he's got screen time. But I think of him in movies like that, and then this, and I wish that I saw more of him. And I know every now and then I see him in a movie, and then I totally forget about it. But it's just not the kind of movie that sticks in my head. But man, I really like him. I wish I owned more movies where I knew he was in it.
I think that's why Jeff works well, because Graham doesn't have that big of a name, so you're able to just look at him as Jeff in this movie.
He does a great job. And then all of his superstition, which actually doesn't just carry throughout the movie, it builds and crescendos to a very exciting scene in the movie when Rudy bets all that money on the football game where it was like a sure win or something. And he's like throwing salt and breaking a window and crawling under a ladder and just being utterly ridiculous.
Crawling under a ladder.
Right. Crawling under a ladder like a maniac behind a bar.
Breaking windows.
It's just lunacy. And then, of course, when he stops driving, because he sees in a reflection in some mirror truck that his car that got sprayed with water is actually has red paint underneath it. And he has a superstition about red cars, and even that built into meeting our female protagonist, Deborah Harmon.
Yep, Deborah Harmon, Barbara Fuchs.
Deborah Harmon, that character's most notable characteristic wasn't forced on us necessarily, except for maybe the first time it was just there. But that characteristic stuck the whole way through and built the movie. And then it gave us that launch over the train. And it's just so good. When that car hits, there's so many times that cars are doing things where I'm like, oh gosh, they're not cars. That car's not going to run for another 5 minutes.
No, it's done. Yeah. And Terry Leonard actually wanted to do that stunt, the stunt coordinator. And they're like, no, you are not doing this, Terry Leonard. That's stupid. But they nailed that jump. And there was a dummy.
That car hit at like a 45-degree angle. That looked tragic to me.
Yeah. Oh man. But what a great practical stunt. And I think this movie ages better than most of these screwball, or no, I'm sorry, not screwball, R-rated Lampoon movies of the time. I mean,
there's a screwball element, but this is not a slap. As over the top as it is, this movie is not slapstick.
It's kind of an adult comedy. Does that make it's a
yeah? No, I'm with you. I'm with you there.
Imagine being 80 and being like a 42-year-old guy and walking into that movie, or a family walking into it, or just a car salesman. You would crack up at it. It's Airplane kind of wiped this out of the theaters at the time because Airplane did all the business. But yeah, it's an adult. I'm not saying it's an adult comedy, but I think a lot of kids can like it too.
Made me think that it was targeting, not precluding other groups, if you will, but targeting middle-aged men, specifically middle. Yeah. The nature of the nudity, the dad who was watching the girl topless and the pirated ad, and he's like getting upset and wrestling, like telling everyone to shut up, get out of the way of the TV, and you see him smiling and he's so happy, and then you see him at the car lot the next day. When you see, and also I think of even just other aspects of life, when you first see Jack Warden as our antagonist Fuchs across the street with the binoculars, he's like, he's got a bad heart, just one bad tick, and that car lot is mine. Like he doesn't give two shits about his family. He just wants that lot, and things about inheritance. And I feel like it's not in a selfish way, but that was something that is just something that happens in life. That. Oh, well, Frank and his wife just got that house. It's like, well, yeah, but his father passed and they got that money. Sometimes people think about that not in a selfish way, and some people do think about it in a selfish way. But I honestly felt I felt like older me responding to that more than younger me would. Younger me would just see some murderous guy, and I'm seeing someone who's waiting to inherit someone. I'm thinking of these movies where Kevin Kline is asking for a down payment on his inheritance.
Yeah.
Remember, so it's from his rich father. It's like, you're going to die one day anyway, and it's going to be mine anyway. Why do I even have to wait? There's a selfishness there. It may or may not mean that you don't care about the person with the money or the asset that's there to inherit. But this is a weird thing. Weird things cross your mind, right? I say that as someone whose parents aren't around anymore, and I don't mean that in a dark way. But you inherit things in your life. It's harder because they're gone, but it can be easier because of the financial legacy that they left you. And so he's doing this, and I'm just like reacting to these things because now my life is so much different than it was 10 years ago when I last saw this. And it actually makes him seem even more nefarious to me.
Yeah.
Because now it's not just funny to me because it's so over the top. Like, this guy wants to kill his brother. No, he wants to kill his brother to inherit what he has, because his daughter is off the map and he doesn't have a spouse, and no one that he cares about will get it. And it goes to him. Like, it all of a sudden feels more calculating because I'm at the age where I can appreciate how calculating it is. And let's just talk about our antagonist, by the way. He wants to kill his brother.
He has a guy essentially go do that. That guy,
right?
That driver kills him.
A secondhand hitman.
Again, a hitman, an inadvertent hitman.
But the hitman knows what he's doing, though. He knows what his job is.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a guy you want to keep around. But okay, so they're going to build an overpass on the highway. But why can't both exist? Because they're going to bulldoze his because of the overpass?
Because the on-ramp or whatever is going to go right through his lot.
And so they're not going to wipe out anything. It's just, they're going to wipe out his dealership because the on-ramp goes onto it?
Well, so in the beginning, he just wanted to get control of the inventory of his brother, where the ramp was going to go anyway, but he wasn't telling him that.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. Why don't you just tell him that so that he'll be more incentivized to sell?
You're right.
But instead, he doesn't tell him that, and he's trying to still lowball him, I guess. So he'll have the biggest inventory and be the biggest car dealer in the Southwest, his exact words, which really shocked me because it's a used car dealer. But then later in the movie, the plot shifts, and even though he's been funneling money into political campaign accounts, they've decided it's going on the other side of the road, and now it's going through bad brother Jack Warden Fuchs' lot. So now it's even more important for him to get control. So I guess he can just move everything over there and keep the business going.
That's what it is. It's
a little more convoluted than it needs to be.
I wish you would have seen John's face while he's explaining that thing.
I was thinking pretty hard. Like I might have had a constipated look, thinking pretty hard while I was trying to work that out in real time.
So Ebert was writing about this movie, and I mean, let's say you talk about old school. 3 dudes start a fraternity out of college and have a midlife crisis, and they do that. Other Animal House, a bunch of randy fraternity guys try to save their frat. Ebert said he likes that, but then you trying to explain this movie, it gets he said there's too much to it. I disagree with him on that, but I also I appreciate that it's not so simple, and
there's too much to it to explain if you're a movie critic.
Yeah, and also it's interesting. Kurt Russell said, I didn't know how to promote this, because what's your movie about? It's about a used car salesman / politician trying to save his lot, I guess. And is that like the pitch?
Right. Hard R comedy
about a guy trying to save his used car lot.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's hard to promote. So I guess they had some trouble promoting this film, even though people loved it. But hey, how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we have a lot more to talk about. I just want to make sure we get an ad in here. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more used cars. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And John, we haven't even talked about how the finale of this film happens when Barbara Fuchs comes back. She kind of realizes that her and Rudy kind of fall for each other, but then she realizes she's a shyster. And then she shoots a commercial about her lot, and then they dub her voice to make it seem like she has miles of cars, and then they take her to court on a slander, like lying charge, which they could probably just say, hey, she was dubbed here. I did not say that. So they figure out that the way to solve this in a packed court, by the way, this is pretty interesting. That's a packed court case for just a line in a car commercial. But the way to solve it is to get 250 high school students who, I guess the high school teacher's still mad at Rudy because he sold them horrible cars that probably can't run. 250 of them buying from a guy named Manuel and driving over under 2 hours and driving in a caravan to park in the lot so that when the judge and the cops show up and they measure all the cars, it's over a mile.
Yes.
I love it. And I love the car stunts that come out of this. I mean, this is old-fashioned car jumping, but it's such a weird ending. It's okay. So here's what it is.
And you feel so good, as basic as the ending is.
Yeah, it's basic ending, and you get this gigantic. You know what's interesting too? Zemeckis was joking around about this, where they didn't realize how dusty it would be, so they'd have 250 cars on set, but you could only see 3 of them because it was so dusty. Like, we didn't even think about watering down everything, so they had 250 cars driving, but no one could see anything because of the dust, and like that was so dangerous. And then with Kurt Russell, the car in front of him and the car in back of him were stunt drivers. But the cars, 2 cars back, and next to him 2 cars back were 16, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds flying down the road during these car gags. So, I mean, that's so irresponsible, John. It blows my mind. And they were like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. But, man, I'm telling you, this is only something, they were 28 at the time, Zemeckis and Bob Gale. This is something a 28-year-old would think of.
Again, I can't, other than when I'm watching a martial arts movie where this guy is doing his own physical, like, fight stunts, right, or diving around, I can never immediately recall not only doing it this much, but doing it at all, where I think, oh my God, that's so dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I was watching Fury Road. And you have lots of vehicles going very fast, way out in the open on flat, very, very flat, actually, much safer ground, right? But flat ground at high speeds. And even with the polecat scenes, but of course, then the vehicles aren't actually physically moving fast when they're filming that. It's just, but I've never thought watching Fury Road, oh my God, holy crap, that's so dangerous. I just think, holy crap, what they did looks so cool.
Yeah, it's
right?
impressive.
I'm in the moment of this action scene where Bruce Willis is doing this in this movie. I never think it's so dangerous. Watching this movie, I'm like, oh my God, that almost hit that actor. Holy crap, those cars they're bottoming out left and right. It could bottom out and stop and someone could rear end it. It probably happened. Yep. Where someone bottomed out going over like that Arizona terrain. And after they bottom out and a wheel well breaks off, you know what I mean? Or a wheel breaks off in the wheel well. Someone just slams into them, and there's all this dust. It's so dangerous, dude.
It's insane. And that's the production value right there. That's what makes it look good. They actually did that. I would never allow that. I really wouldn't. Because they did. You watch it in 2021, 41 years after this movie was made, and it still looks pretty legit. Like, it looks good. No, I want to say I just remembered one scene from this movie I did not like, and I wish it made the character seem more creepy. And when they had the hole in the bathroom door, and Kurt Russell was looking through it. That was the one scene I did not like. I'm like, why, Rudy? You're not this. You're not that guy. I don't know. That was the one scene I didn't like. That felt creepy to me. The rest of it felt very rapscallion and let's see, decent hearted and sort of that I didn't like. I saw that and I was like, oh man. And I don't even think I would have enjoyed that when I was younger, but in